Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd address one point that's coming up over and over again, and some debates that are going on in the last couple of weeks about, Joseph Dweba and his selection ahead of Malcolm Marx, and sort of fallout after that after the All Blacks, and now the fact that he's playing at hooker again this weekend. I think there's been some misconceptions. I think there's been a lot of talk thrown around there, and I thought maybe might help to address some of it. And I think, there's one question. I think that Joseph Dweba does deserve his selection, but he does also deserve to put in a performance that sort of silences the naysayers. I think there's been a lot of talk about it and a lot of people coming up with their own conclusions. So I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I think's happening, and see if I can try and unlock the mysteries a bit. First thing I want to address is some of the comments I've had and on Twitter and on social media that I've seen, where people saying that it is selection, quota selection, so to speak, which I find offensive and I think is really off the mark. I don't think there's one selection in that Springbok team who doesn't deserve to be there. So I think anybody who's suggesting that should go think again. This Bok team has prided itself on playing players who are the best in their positions, and Joseph Dweba is a really promising young guy. He's 23 years old. He's coming through the ranks, and he deserves the same sort of treatment as everybody else. So that's just to get that out of the way. Then I think the whole thing was conflated. If you think Jacques Nienaber was asked about his selection, obviously people thought Malcolm Marx had an excellent game against the All Blacks. He made 4 turnovers. He was man of the match in his 50th game, deservedly so, and people expected him to start again. I think the original selection of Bongi, starting ahead of Malcolm, is pretty much like the Boks have done it. They've used Malcolm off the bench, and that's probably why they went ahead with it. But when Bongi got injured and withdrew, a lot of people expected Malcolm to move into the starting lineup against the All Blacks. That didn't happen. Joseph Dweba came in, and I think what compounded the whole thing is the fact that he played 30 minutes and then was sort of pulled off. He lost one line out. Boxer lost other lineouts in that game as well, so you can't put all the lineout blame on him. But I think it didn't help matters either. And then after the press conference where Jacques Nienaber said, there's a rugby reason for the selection, but it's privileged. I think a lot of people took exception to that. I tried to explain it as well in an article on Supersport. It got quite a reaction from several quarters, including inside the Bok team. But I think it is a complex issue. I think there is a rugby reason for it, like they say, or so it's been explained to me. And I think sometimes you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the coaching team. Also want to point to an article on the weekend by Hendrik Cronje in Report, which sort of detailed that Malcolm Marx was struggling with a bit of a hip flexor issue and may not have been 100% fit, and the Boks, knowing the importance of the All Blacks, wanted to play him anyway. I don't think it's a situation where he couldn't have trained. I think it's more a situation where there was a bit of a doubt that he might last the whole game. So coaches often like to play players straight up if they know they're not going to make it, but the front row is also different. Often what happens, there is a risk, maybe a bit of a long shot. There is a risk that if you play a guy and he gets injured and his replacement gets injured as well in the front row, then you go down to 14 men and you go down to uncontested scrums. Whereas if the guy who comes on as a replacement gets injured and the first guy finishes the field, you can always bring that first guy back and you don't have a situation of uncontested scrums. So I think that played a part in the decision. I'm not sure, that's I've sort of heard through the grapevine that was also played factor in the Boks decision to play Joseph ahead of. There's of course another reason as well, and that was obviously Bongi was injured, and they knew Joseph was going to have to play in these 2 tests against Australia, so they wanted to give him some game time against top quality opposition. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think what the Boks have obviously tried to do whenever they've tried to blood players, they've tried to give them opportunities alongside the experience. Joseph was next to his longtime friend Oxen Che, who's played through the ranks as well, and next to Frans Malherbe, so I think they felt they were pretty stable in the front row. There has been questions about his lineouts, but I know they're working on that as well, and he's working on that. And he has that explosive power off the mark, which we really didn't see. I wouldn't say necessarily it all fell on him. I think the Boks were just beaten at the breakdown so many times by the All Blacks that it was a team thing and a pack thing that you can't really give one guy the blame. Anyway, but saying that, he's starting again this week. And again, the questions have come up. Today, Dion Davids was asked if they're throwing him into the deep end, which obviously he deflected on. But Jacques was also asked about his selection again, and this is how he answered.
We've got a specific, which we probably wouldn't like to have to go into too much detail, but there's how can I say, there's technical reasons why we select the team like we select. I've said it numerous times in the media that, listen, we don't see, and that's probably where we're a little bit different. We don't see, we see our front rows, the starting front row and the front row on the bench. We see them as a pair, as a unit, not necessarily as, listen, this guy is number one and this guy is number two. There's a tactical or technical reason why we select them like we do. And we wouldn't like to go into too much detail and give too much of our game plan away. But there's a reason for that. The players know it, and as long as they know it, they buy into it, and it's an open and honest discussion with them why we do things the way we do, and the players are happy with it. We are happy and comfortable with it, and that's like I say, it's normally there's a technical plan to that,
And I think also you also addressed the privilege thing as well, and you can understand that some of the team tactics that the Boks have, they don't want to share with people, and his explanation was pretty much spot on the mark from what I've heard, along the grapevine and inside with the people I speak to close to the Springboks as well, is that sometimes you don't want your tactics to be revealed, and there's obviously reasons for it. So this is how you address that.
Yeah, sometimes, what I meant is sometimes when we do make a team selection, like I mentioned numerous times before, we sit down the whole group, and when I say the whole group, the physios, the doctors, the administrative people, and we discuss in front of everybody why we go with a specific selection, and it's a tactical plan, and when I say privileged information, sometimes there's something that a coach discuss with a player, and if you ask him, and that's what we do, we ask him, listen, do you like this to come out in the media? And they say no, they want this is between me and him. Then that's what I mean privilege. We always said to the media, and I think to you guys, that we want to be as open and transparent as possible, but sometimes there's something that a player, that a coach, that's some of our tactics that we don't want out there, some of our IP that we don't want out there, and maybe I was wrong in saying that it's privilege, but it was a discussion between myself, the other coaches, in terms of tactics, in terms, sometimes, like I say, it's something personal with a player that you don't want to discuss and don't want out in the media, and then we have to respect that, and that is that's as truthful as I can be, and it's honest. It's Eben will know, everybody would know, and I think if you ask a player, they will say, listen, that's how it works with the Boks. We are open and honest about everything, but sometimes we, from a tactical point of view, we don't want to share some stuff in the media. And in terms of select your question, and do we select the best players, or I think that was your words, we select the team, and like I mentioned before, we don't necessarily see if you take the front row, and you were talking about the front row, we don't necessarily see we see the front row as a unit, and they operate as a unit. There's certain boxes that the guys who start have to tick in a specific test match, and there's a tactical reason why we select it like that. The players know what is those the goals that they will have to, the guys who start the game, they know what goals they need to achieve, and sometimes they achieve that in 35 minutes, sometimes they achieve it in 50 minutes, sometimes they achieve it in 20 minutes, but there's certain things that they will have to achieve, and the moment they achieve it, and we feel it's the right time tactically, then we will make a substitution. But I think where it's different with maybe other teams, we don't necessarily see it as two groups, the starting pack and the bench. We don't see it as two groups. We see it as a unit. And that's. I hope it answers your question and it gives a little bit more clarity to the public. But that's how we see it. We see it as a unit, not as a division. There's 15 guys starting and then 8 guys on the bench. That's a substitute. No, we see it as a unit. It gives us a tactical advantage.
That being said, I think it does us no. I think there's been a bit of a overreaction in terms of the All Black defeat. I know it's a defeat, and we never take defeats well as South Africans. But the Boks had an off day, and I think the way they bounce back is more important. So that's more important for me to see what happens. And I think for that reason, I think we need a good Joseph Dweba performance. I think Joseph needs to sort of back up the coach's faith in him. And I'm not saying he hasn't, but I think he needs to show people why he's been selected. I think he needs to put in a good barnstorming performance that people the questions forget. People forget about those questions and sort of see what the Boks see in him as well. I think there's a lot of people out there who are trying to understand the decisions. They obviously want the best and see only one road there. And unless we try and explain it to them, unless they see it for themselves what the Boks are seeing, it's going to be difficult for people to accept it outside there. So to me, I understand what they're trying to do. I think I do at least. If you hear chomping noises beside me, I've got one of my dogs. There's a pecan nut tree behind me, and one of my dogs is eating a pecan nut that's fallen from it. So if you hear the crunches, that's what's happening at my feet. Always choose videos to do these things in, don't they? Anyway, back to Joseph Dweba. So to me, if we see a good performance by Joseph this weekend, if we see a barnstorming performance, a performance that the reason why the Boks chose him, that sort of underlines his performance, I don't think one, it'll keep a lot of people quiet who've sort of doubted him. Second, it'll show what the Boks, why they've got the belief in him, and it'll be a good thing to have another hooker that you can count on. You're always going to need a specialist hooker. You're going to need a third and fourth hooker for the World Cup, and you're going to need them to have tests under their belt. So I think that's another thing, is trying to do that. And I feel for the Bok management, because a lot of times they can't win. People shout at them to blood new players. They want to see young talent be developed, and when they do give guys, and then people don't understand, they want their best team to be played. So they're a bit of between a rock and a hard place, and I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they've done badly, or the All Black result, which a lot of people expected them to win. Maybe a bit unreasonably given the history of the two sides and the All Blacks' history at Ellis Park. But this weekend they are up against it. They need a good performance. They need Joseph Dweba to shine, and I'll back him to shine. And I hope he does shine, because I think it'll be the quickest way to end the debate around Joseph Dweba as well. Saying that, Malcolm Marx might not be 100% right again, but the Boks obviously want him to be on the bench, and they want him to come on in the second half. And let's hope the tactic works, because it maybe backfired a bit against Ellis Park in terms of the way they used their bench, but those are the risks you take as a coach. So I think proof is in the pudding. I think Dweba's been back now, and I think let's give him the chance to shine, and so hopefully he will, and we'll all sort of have the answers we need. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't know if you agree. I know there's a lot of people who might not agree with me, but leave your comments below. Let me hear what you say. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll keep on doing more of these videos for you guys, so we can obviously keep the debates going. So and keep the passion going for the Springbok rugby. So thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed the video. Speak to you next time.